When most people hear the word toxins, they imagine poisoning, something sudden, something dramatic. But the most dangerous toxicity is none of that. It's slow, it's quiet, and it builds up over time. In today's world, your body is exposed to more chemical, metabolic, and environmental toxins than at any point in human history. And long before serious disease appears, your body starts sending subtle warning signs. Today, we're going to break down 10 early signs your body is full of toxins, not to scare you, but to help you understand what your body is trying to tell you before real damage sets in. Stay with me, because none of these signs work in isolation. It's the mechanisms behind them that matter, and once you understand those, you'll start seeing the bigger picture of your health very clearly. We'll go through these signs one by one, explaining what's happening inside the body, not just listing symptoms. Let's begin. Sign 1. Brain fog. One of the earliest and most common signs of toxic overload is brain fog. This can feel like dull thinking, slower processing, difficulty concentrating, or a lack of mental clarity. The reason is simple but serious. Many toxins and metabolic waste products are small enough to cross the blood-brain barrier, a highly selective protective layer designed to keep the brain safe. Once these substances enter the brain, they interfere with nerve signaling and slow communication between brain cells. This reduces processing speed and cognitive sharpness. You're not imagining it. Your brain is reacting to chemical interference. This is why brain fog often comes and goes rather than staying constant. As toxin levels fluctuate throughout the day, mental clarity rises and falls, reflecting how sensitive the brain is to chemical balance. Sign 2. Unexplained fatigue. Fatigue that persists despite adequate sleep is another key sign. Energy production happens inside structures called mitochondria, where fuel is burned using oxygen to produce ATP, the body's energy currency. Toxic buildup increases oxidative stress, placing extra strain on mitochondria. When oxidative stress rises, mitochondria become less efficient and produce less ATP. Even if you're sleeping, the energy simply isn't being generated properly. This is why toxic fatigue doesn't improve with rest alone. This type of fatigue feels different from simple tiredness. It's heavier, more persistent, and harder to shake because the underlying issue isn't rest, but reduced cellular energy production. Sign 3. Digestive irregularity. Bloating, constipation, incomplete elimination, or irregular digestion often point toward toxic overload. The gut is one of the body's main exit routes for waste. Proper detoxification depends on bile flow, gut motility, and a balanced microbiome. When any of these are disrupted, waste sits longer than it should. And when waste sits, toxins are reabsorbed back into circulation instead of being eliminated. An imbalanced gut microbiome can also produce additional toxins, further increasing the load the body must manage. When elimination slows, the body essentially recycles its own waste. This recycling increases systemic toxin exposure and places additional stress on the liver and kidneys to compensate. Sign 4. Skin changes. Your skin is not just a protective barrier, it's also a backup detox organ. Breakouts, rashes, itching, dull skin tone, or unexplained irritation can all be signs that internal detox pathways are overwhelmed. When the liver, kidneys, and gut can't keep up, excess waste begins exiting through the skin. This alters skin pH, oil production, and immune signaling. The result is inflammation that shows up on the surface. The skin is often reacting to problems that start much deeper. Skin issues related to toxicity often appear suddenly and resist typical treatments. That's because the root cause isn't external irritation, but internal overload trying to escape through the surface. Sign 5. Chemical sensitivity. Sensitivity to perfumes, cleaning products, food smells, or chemicals you previously tolerated is another early sign. Detoxification in the liver relies on specialized enzymes. When toxin exposure exceeds the liver's capacity, these enzymes become saturated. As a result, substances remain in circulation longer than normal. The immune system interprets prolonged exposure as a threat and becomes hypersensitive. What once passed unnoticed now triggers exaggerated reactions. This heightened sensitivity is not psychological. It reflects a reduced detox margin, where even small exposures feel overwhelming because the liver no longer has enough capacity to neutralize them quickly. Sign 6. Morning heaviness. Waking up tired, stiff, or foggy, especially after a full night's sleep, often points to liver overload. The liver performs much of its detoxification work during sleep. If detox pathways are congested, cleanup doesn't happen efficiently. Toxins remain in circulation overnight and are still present when you wake up. Instead of feeling refreshed, you start the day already behind. Instead of starting the day refreshed, the body begins in a deficit. This often creates a slow, heavy feeling that improves slightly later in the day as circulation and elimination increase. Important clarification about signs. None of these signs are pathognomonic, meaning none of them diagnose a disease on their own. Most symptoms can have many causes. That's why understanding mechanisms matters more than memorizing symptom lists. Signs are signals, not verdicts. The goal is awareness, not panic. Sign 7. Head pressure, or dull headaches. Toxic buildup can cross into the brain and trigger neuroinflammation. This inflammation alters cerebral blood flow, creating pressure changes inside the skull. Unlike sharp migraines, this often feels like dull, persistent head pressure, a heavy or tight sensation rather than acute pain. It's the brain reacting to inflammatory stress. Because this pressure is inflammatory rather than structural, painkillers often provide limited relief. The sensation returns once the medication wears off, reflecting an unresolved internal trigger. Sign 8. Poor stress tolerance. When toxins accumulate, they drain ATP, the same energy required for emotional regulation. The frontal lobe, responsible for impulse control and stress modulation, is especially energy dependent. With reduced ATP availability, inhibitory control weakens. Small stressors feel overwhelming. Emotional outbursts become harder to control. This creates a vicious cycle, as stress further disrupts blood flow to the frontal lobe, reducing regulation even more. This explains why emotional reactions can feel disproportionate. The brain's braking system lacks energy, allowing stress responses to activate faster and shut off more slowly than normal. Sign 9. Bad breath or body odor. When detox organs are overwhelmed, waste looks for alternate exit routes, including the lungs and skin. Some metabolic byproducts naturally leave through breath and sweat, but excess toxins alter this process. Skin bacteria convert waste into smelly gases, changing body odor. Volatile compounds released through the lungs affect breath. Odor changes are often signs of internal overload, not hygiene problems. These changes often persist despite good hygiene because the source is metabolic, not surface level. Until internal clearance improves, odor-related symptoms tend to return repeatedly. Sign 10. Stubborn inflammation. Chronic puffiness, joint stiffness, swelling, or generalized inflammation often reflect lingering waste in circulation. When immune cells are exposed to waste products for too long, they remain activated. This constant low-grade immune response creates inflammation that doesn't resolve easily. The body is reacting to what it can't clear. Modern life introduces an unprecedented toxic load. Air pollution, food additives, plastics, medications, electromagnetic exposure, artificial light. On top of that, poor sleep, insulin resistance, gut imbalance, and low physical activity increase internal toxin production. Our ancestors moved constantly, ate clean food, and lived in low-toxin environments. We do not. This doesn't mean disaster is inevitable. It means awareness is essential. Toxicity doesn't announce itself loudly. It whispers first. If you recognize several of these signs, don't panic, start paying attention. Understanding your body is the first step towards supporting it. And if this helped you see the bigger picture, share it with someone who needs clarity, not fear. Your body is always communicating. The question is whether we're listening.